again. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to be thinking about how to find authentic joy and connection. Who doesn't want that? And I'll be giving you 3 easy steps. So I'm going to begin with a quote, 2 quotes in fact. One quote of Jesus. We always try and anchor it in Christ. And another quote. And another one later on, which will be a little bit of a surprise. So that's just a little bit of a hook and tease to keep you watching, hopefully. But firstly, Jesus. If your eye is single, your whole body is full of light. Don't ask me where it's from, Matthew, I think. If your eye is single, your whole body is full of light. But those are words of Jesus. And then Alan Watts. Your eyes are the lens through which the universe is trying to make sense of itself. Your eyes are the lens through which the universe is trying to make sense of itself. So the theme is eyes. And it's funny, I got a reminder today on my text reminder that I've got an appointment at the optician tomorrow to have my own eyes tested. Not really looking forward to that, but I'm very much aware of needing glasses, and I've taken my glasses off just now because of the lume cube I've got, which just gives you a little square of light if I have my glasses on, but I will need to keep putting them on and off. But sometimes, it's not a bad thing when my eyes are in softer focus, and I'll come on to that later about detaching a little bit from the outer stimulus. But I'm going to begin with this idea of the field of view. On a microscope, you have a field of view, FOV it's called. That circle that is the kind of area, field as in a region or area of or location of visibility. And you have the same in cameras and also in software like Google Maps, when you've used Google Earth and you can zoom in and you can zoom out. And as you zoom in, suddenly streets appear that you wouldn't have seen. So you're getting a lot more detail. The devil is in the detail, I'm just hearing. Yeah, we'll come back to that too. But a lot more definition. And definition means what's being clearly defined. In terms of our experience of life, everything seems to us to be solid and real. This is part of the programming, that the eyes that we have show us this world around us, and we believe this story of separation, that we're all separate objects, separate people, having different lives, interacting. And it's part of the, if you want to use that word, matrix programming, but the programming of human incarnation, the incarnational experience here on planet Earth. And it's very dualistic. Okay, that's what I'm here. It's very dualistic because subject and object is very clearly defined. Also, what is clearly defined are belief systems. And this channel is all about faith shifts, perhaps moving outside and beyond established or conditioned thinking. Either that's just through your upbringing and something that served you quite well over the years, but as you are maturing, as your life unfolds, you feel a calling beyond that. So you become aware of the boundaries and limitations of the field of view, philosophically, ideologically, or religiously. Okay? And the thing is, we can zoom out. And when we zoom out, we get a bigger perspective, and we get the perspective of the soul. So we become aware that we are souls having an earthly experience. So you zoom in and you're completely immersed in the story of you, whoever you are. I'm immersed in the story of Jill. I'm making a video. I've got so long to do it, and then I have to catch a bus and go to work. And the events of the day will take over, and I'll get lost in the story of Jill. But at certain moments, I can have a remembering. I can zoom out. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you about when I talk about these steps of awareness. So remembering that we are souls having an earthly experience changes the perspective. And as we zoom out to the soul level, what we'll experience is a greater sense of peace and joy, because there's a connection to something bigger than the small story. Some people fear this because they think that if they detach from the small story, that they might lose themselves. That they need that anchoring, and there might just be nothing. What if there is nothing? Well, nothing is no thing. It's actually true. We looked at this a few videos back when we talked about non-duality and the purest non-dualists who say there's just nothing, no thing, no meaning. And we said, God, that can be so nihilistic and depressing. They're actually right in a way, because as we move out of the story of the separate self into the soul self, it's like ever broadening circles. Oh, I'm thinking of a pebble dropped into a pond and how it sends rings out. And if you think about it, where the pebble, incarnational life is the soul in a little body dropped into this experience of life here on planet Earth. But the ripples that are there, as they move away from the stone, they become less clearly defined, don't they? So there's less form. So the soul, in a way, is looser than the story. It's still connected to the story, but it's looser. We loosen our attachment to the events and the personality and the opinions and the beliefs. And beyond the soul, we have spirit. So again, spirit is like turning the dial up on the light. We turn the dial up on the light, and if we did that in a photograph, we'd just get less definition, wouldn't we? Initially we'd get more definition, and then we keep going and we get less, because it just becomes bleached out until all we have is a blank white screen. So as we move from spirit in those wider circles, we just have source. So it's like a kind of nesting: source, spirit, soul, separate self, ego, personality. And we start to see that a lot of the structures of our life are centered around the ego, helping the ego. The ego is a good thing. It helps you to navigate life and to, protect yourself and to be successful. But it's all tied up with a system of competition, the survival of the fittest and all of that. And sometimes you just need to step back from that, because it brings with it its immense pressures to perform, pressures to be accepted, pressures to be good enough. And it's very fast paced. It's fast paced because it really does feel as though there are energies and pressures that want to keep you in the matrix. And I'm reluctant to use that word, but keep you in the field of view, that smaller field of view, okay, invested in it, attached to it. So everything almost seems to be working against you, stepping out into a wider field of view, possibly wilder. Especially religious thinking. I'm mainly talking about this because I know that there'll be people watching this perhaps who are deconstructing or reconstructing faith, and this is really what this channel is about, because it reflects my own journey of doing that. And I know that what I'm talking about, stepping out of this into this wider soul perspective, means that you can bypass and go directly to truth and reality, rather than via the belief systems and structures in institutional religion. And certainly this is disapproved of. This is what would be called mysticism. Mysticism just means having a direct knowing and trusting that knowing and not needing to go via the priest or the dogma or the doctrine, not being hemmed in by that. And although that you do have mysticism in Orthodoxy and also in Catholicism, actually, generally in Protestant Christianity, it's disapproved of, especially in evangelical Christianity, which is where I came from. And the reason is that they say that it's New Age, lazy term, but they'll say it's New Age. And if you are opening yourself up to, opening up your consciousness to, wider things, if you step outside of the safe haven of orthodoxy doctrine, you don't know what you're letting in. Implying that there's chaos and division, implying that, it's all demons out there, it's all bad. Now, I would say quite the contrary. Remember earlier I said the devil is in the detail? Well, that's certainly true in terms of Christianity, because within that very dualistic, within that shrunk down remit area, you have you have duality. It's the realm of duality. And if there isn't an opponent or energy, Satan in the Bible, actually the Satan, the Greek word for it, just means the opponent or the adversary. It's not a proper noun for an actual entity or being. It's an abstract noun. It just means an opponent. So in duality, you have to have the other. You have to have the opponent in order for there to be, for your own virtue or goodness to have any meaning. So if there isn't an opponent, you'll invent one, okay, to give validity to your own viewpoint. This you get this. It's divide and rule, isn't it? Divide and rule, divide and conquer. And this is why I think we can think of that smaller point of view, this worldly thinking, the default conditioning, as being the arena of, the devil, the prince of darkness, the ruler of this great dark earth, dark age. That's how it would be described in the Bible. That's how Paul describes it. And in other mythologies, you get the same. In Gnosticism, you get the archons. They talk about the archons ruling this world and wanting to keep you trapped within it because they don't want you out there. It's all about consciousness. This is all about mind control. That's the true prison. And about consenting your mind to these limiting beliefs. We don't need to do that. And so as we move out, we have more light, more energy, more information. This is the fabric of the soul. This is what the soul is constructed of: light, energy, and information. And what you find is that it's a network that's connected to all other souls. And so there is not a sense of losing yourself, a sense of finding belonging to something much greater. And knowing that there's also a community there. Nisa, you posted a comment and asked, who are the armies of heaven? Are they the angels? Love that question, and I will address it, not in this video, but certainly this brings us on to what is in this wider field of vision. There is energy, light, and information. There is a company of heaven, and we are supported, lovingly supported, and resourced for the life journey. We're not alone. It's fear-based thinking that keeps you in a smaller field of vision. The way I think about it is, what is truth? Are there lots of different truths? Or is there only one truth? Because when people talk about, you'll be led astray, they're implying that there are different truths to choose from. That's not That's not theologically sound. There's one God and Lord of all, creator of the universe. This is what we're meant to believe as Christians. And God is love. God is love, in the sense that God equals love. So exposure to more of God, more of love. Was it Tozer that said you can have as much of God as you want? Say that to the person who tells you you mustn't open your mind and you must keep your ideas and your understanding shrunk down to hear what we're telling you God is. You can have as much of God as you like. You can open up to more of God, more of love, more of truth, more of light without fear. Because who wants to stay in a constricted idea, because somehow whatever is bigger is dangerous and damaging? Surely that's a position of doubt. That's not trusting God to be God by implying there have to be self-imposed limits on what we open ourselves up to. What did Jesus mean when he said, your eye must be single? I think Jesus is talking about the eye of the heart. It's funny because this morning, while I was sitting in meditation, I actually, I just asked. Someone came to my mind. I knew I was making this video, and it came to my mind about the single eye being the heart. And I thought, is that a thing? So I looked it up, expecting that it might be something from an Eastern spiritual teaching. And what it led me to was, in fact, the Bible. It led me to Paul's teaching. I'm going to read this to you now. Ephesians 1, verse 18. It says, let me just go back to 17. I pray that the God, this is Paul talking, the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of glory, may give you a spirit of wisdom and revelation as you come to know him. Mysticism, revelation, what is being revealed as you come to know him more deeply. Oh, and by the way, deeply, higher. How do we get greater joy? We go higher and deeper. So I love this phrase, the deepening. And yet I'm talking about higher consciousness, and it sounds as if I'm contradicting by talking about going high or going low. But no, not if you think about that little circle that's the field of vision, the field of vision, the field of view. If you stretch it, it gets bigger, doesn't it? And on the map or on whatever image that you're looking at, you're going higher. The higher you go, the deeper you go. So inversely, the deeper you go, the higher you go. And it's a great metaphor to think about it like that. And if you flip it and lay it on its side, or think of it in a 3D way as a sphere, you can do that when you're just zooming out, opening up, opening your consciousness up. All right, and then shrinking it back down to the small story. Think of it as a kind of field, of a field of view around you, opening up your perspective. That just came to me. Sorry, I got distracted. It was because I was reading about the God giving you, Father of glory and wisdom, giving you a spirit of wisdom and revelation as you come to know him, so that with the eyes of your heart enlightened, you may know what is the hope to which he has called you, what are the riches of his glorious inheritance among the saints, and what is the immeasurable greatness of his power for us who believe according to the workings of his great power. A long sentence there, but did you notice that phrase? So that with the eyes of your heart enlightened. It uses the word enlightened in the Bible. Oh, there are certain people who won't like that. Enlightenment, that's all New Age. Shouldn't be going there. We shouldn't talk about enlightenment. Yes, we do. Because Jesus said, I'm the light of the world. But he also said, you're the light of the world, indirectly in saying, and I think this was it Tony that pointed this out in the comments, and it was a great like revelation for me. I said, I've never thought about that before. That when Jesus said, put your light on a hill for everybody to see, don't hide it under a bushel. He's saying your light. Your light. He isn't saying the light that is me that now dwells in your heart through faith in me, which is what the later Christians said when they developed their theology and put layers of conditioning on top of the words of Jesus. He just said, let your light shine for all to see. So he talks about himself being the light of the world, and he talks about you being a light to the world. One and the same thing. And I said before, the bushel was actually a measuring jug, wasn't it? It was a measuring bowl. So don't limit the remit of your field of view. Expand it so that all see it, so that you're turning the dial upon the light. What do? We expand our consciousness. We go higher and deeper. And I'm going to give you three little tips, 3 things you can do, practical things you can do in order to achieve that. And I'm going to call it S.O.S. This is the S.O.S. S.O.S, save our souls. So how do we save our own souls? Following the light of Christ. How is Christ the Saviour? How do we save our souls? Well, the first one, the S, is the shutting down. S for shutting down. This is all about stepping out of the story, as I said, to that higher, greater vision. But the first S is shut down stimulus. So there are a lot of S's there. Shut and stimulus. So maybe think of the S as stimulus, actually, because you're shutting down the stimulus. So the 5 senses are what keep us locked in. I'm using the word locked in to this, the matrix, to this world. All right, so we get immersed in the story through the 5 senses. But we want to expand to a more subtle sense, what we might call the 6th sense, but beyond the material senses of the material body. So shut down stimulus. Now you might think I'm talking about meditation, and for many it will be. But many people also say, I just can't meditate. I haven't got the time. I just can't do it. I've tried doing it. My mind goes crazy. I can't do it. With practice, you will want to do it, because what you'll find is that there is just this shift. It changes how you feel, and you find this peace and calm. But we'll come on to that. It's shutting down the stimulus. It can be as simple as just zoning out for a moment, taking a few moments, taking maybe some breaths, the breathing, 3 deep breaths. They use this in anger management training, don't they? Just take a deep breath. Pause for a moment. Because the breath takes you back to your center, and your attention is just away from all the stimulus. You might close your eyes to shut down the stimulus, but even if you don't shut your eyes, you can do this, when you're sitting on the bus, or when you're in the middle of your busy day. And you might just find that you soften your gaze, you just zone out, you soften your gaze. And this is why I said earlier, it can sometimes help to have soft focus, because you're going to the inner eye. And where is the inner eye? It's the heart. You only have one heart, not 2. So that's why Jesus said, let your eye be single. If your perception comes from the heart, your consciousness is heart-centered, then your whole body will be filled with light. Your whole body will be full of light. You almost bring the light in. It's like you soak it up, because what you've done consciously is go out there. So step out of the story firstly by shutting down the stimulus. That's the S. Then the O, step 2, O. Open your heart. Open your heart. Gratitude is a good way to open the heart, but just by bringing your attention to the heart and knowing that you are loved. The word beloved just came to me then. And I remember the previous video I made a couple of weeks ago about Jesus. No, I think it was just last week actually. I was away from home and I just went for a walk and I had this thought, so I made a video quickly and a bit impromptu. But it was about when Jesus went to the Jordan and submerged and then came out and heard the voice saying, "You are my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased." We all hear that voice. You are the beloved. You are beloved. You are my beloved child. You are beloved. So in that opening of the heart, hear the word beloved. Know that you are loved. Show gratitude for the fact that you are loved. That you're surrounded at all times by supportive, loving beings. I'll talk more another time about who and what those beings are. So open your heart, and immediately you will notice a shift when the heart opens. The heart only closes, by the way, through fear, and in the dualistic realm is run by fear. We learn a lot of habits that are fear-based, putting our defenses up, keeping our defenses up for self-protection. But when we open the heart, fear falls away. Perfect love casts out all fear. And we let more light in. And then the final S is sense. Sense the difference vibrationally. That sensing will become more keen. Your perception will become keener to the more subtle energies. And to spirit, the more time you spend in that vibrational field. And it isn't about having to spend 18 minutes or 10 minutes or any length of time. This is about a shift in awareness. You'll actually find that you will look forward to it when you can shut the door behind you. I think this is what Jesus meant when he said, when you pray, don't pray out in the marketplace. And something. We think that that's about piety and virtue signalling. Maybe it was also about the fact that in the public places, you're very much still in the smaller field of view. So actually, when you shut the door, maybe you're just shutting the door on the world and going to the single eye, where the heart can open. And where you know true communion, and where the love, the light, energy, and information of spirit can fill you so that your whole body is full of light. I hope that's been helpful. Do let me know in the comments your thoughts. I love hearing from you. Thank you to all of those of you who do leave comments and likes. It really helps. I appreciate you all very much. And I'll see you again very soon. Take care. Bye for now. God bless.